Welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling the ultimate home lab dilemma, choosing between UNRAID and Proxmox VE for your next server build. If you're building a home server, you've undoubtedly crossed paths with these two titans of the self-hosting community. Both are incredibly powerful, absolutely, but they take vastly different approaches to managing your hardware, your storage, and your apps. So today we're going to look strictly at the documentation and architecture of both platforms to give you a complete comparison. We're going to help you make the perfect choice for your setup. Here is our roadmap for today's showdown. First, we'll meet your home server options. Then we'll cover storage, flexibility versus enterprise, followed by Docker apps versus LXC containers. After that, we'll get into virtualization and scaling out. And finally, wrap up with choosing your ideal OS. Let's just dive right in. Section 1, meet your home server options.
First up is UNRAID. As the source material outlines, UNRAID is an embedded operating system that actually installs and boots entirely from a standard USB flash drive right into your system's RAM. It's fundamentally a flexible, software-defined NAS, or network-attached storage, built really around the idea of letting you mix and match whatever hardware you happen to have laying around. Now, in the other corner, we have Proxmox Virtual Environment. Proxmox is based on Debian Linux, and it's an open-source server management platform built from the ground up for enterprise virtualization. It frankly doesn't care about your spare USB drives. It cares about robust, scalable infrastructure.
At its core, Proxmox VE is designed to allow you to build a hyper-converged infrastructure. Now, I know that sounds like corporate jargon, but it basically just means it tightly integrates your storage, your networking, and your computing power all into one highly efficient platform. And it's all managed from a single centralized web interface. Essentially, Proxmox assumes you want real data center capabilities running right inside your home. Let's move on to Section 2, Storage, Flexibility versus Enterprise. UNRAID's namesake feature is its storage array, so instead of traditional RAID, which usually requires identical drives, UNRAID uses a dedicated parity drive. You can think of this as a giant mathematical backup puzzle. By summing up the bits across all your data drives, whether you've got a 2 terabyte drive sitting next to an 8 terabyte or a 14 terabyte drive, the parity drive just tracks whether the sum is even or odd. If a data drive completely fails, UNRAID uses the remaining drives plus that parity calculation to perfectly reconstruct the missing data. The only hard rule here, your parity drive just has to be equal to or larger than your single largest data disk. It is a fantastic way to mix and match your hardware. UNRAID uses a really fascinating method to balance its speed and capacity. Because the main array writes files to individual disks and calculates that parity in real time, it's pretty much limited to the speed of a single hard drive, which is around 70 to 250 megabytes per second. To get around this, UNRAID uses cache pools. You can take lightning-fast NVMe SSDs and pair them up in a BTRFS or ZFS mirrored pool. That means your new files, apps, and virtual machines live on the super-fast cache pool during the day, and then a scheduled mover transfers that bulk data down to the slower array at night. It's an incredibly efficient setup for a home user. On the flip side, storage in Proxmox takes a decidedly enterprise approach. The central management interface natively integrates with Ceph, which is a self-healing, distributed object store and file system. Proxmox doesn't do the mix and match parity math that UNRAID does. Instead, it leans entirely on enterprise standards. With Ceph, data is replicated and distributed across multiple nodes in your network. We're talking about a system designed to scale up to literally exabytes of storage without needing a hardware RAID controller. So the big takeaway for storage is this. UNRAID prioritizes maximum flexibility and cost-effectiveness. You can literally take whatever mismatched hard drives you have sitting in a closet, throw them into an UNRAID box, and it's going to protect your data. Proxmox, however, demands much more rigid enterprise-grade setups. It natively champions ZFS for local storage, meaning drives have to be properly grouped, and Ceph for multi-node setups to guarantee ultimate reliability. Section 3, Docker apps versus LXC containers. When you want to run things like a Plex media server, maybe a Pi-hole ad blocker, or Home Assistant, you don't always want the heavy performance overhead of a full virtual machine. So you have to ask yourself how you want those lightweight apps managed. Both of these OSs handle this perfectly, but again, they use totally different philosophies. UNRAID transforms into an application server primarily through Docker. In fact, it features an incredibly popular plugin called Community Apps. It basically acts like an app store for your server, giving you hundreds of pre-configured Docker templates. Proxmox VE, on the other hand, natively champions LXC, or Linux containers. Now, while you absolutely can run Docker on Proxmox, The officially supported enterprise way to do it is to run Docker inside a Proxmox virtual machine while using LXC natively for your lightweight system containers. As UNRAID's documentation highlights, leveraging Docker's image-based deployment is just perfect for this kind of thing. It totally eliminates OS compatibility issues and prevents software conflicts. It's an application container approach. You literally just click Install on the Community app, and boom, your application is running in an isolated, lightweight bubble in seconds. Conversely, Proxmox uses LXC for system containers. So rather than just packaging a single application the way Docker does, an LXC container acts a lot more like a complete, lightweight Linux operating system. It shares the host system's Linux kernel, which means it has near zero performance overhead and a tiny memory footprint compared to a full VM. And more importantly, these containers are tightly integrated first-class citizens in Proxmox. They are deeply aware of your network, your storage, and your cluster's high availability framework. Section 4. Virtualization and scaling out. When it comes to heavy-duty virtualization, the feature set is practically identical across the board here. Both systems are incredibly capable under the hood. They actually utilize the exact same open-source KVM hypervisor and QEMU emulation technologies. They both fully support IMMU and VFIO, which means whether you're on UNRAID or Proxmox, you can pass physical hardware, like a dedicated graphics card, directly through to a Windows VM for near-bare metal gaming or video editing performance. Where they completely diverge, however, is in how they scale. Proxmox utilizes a unique feature called the Proxmox Cluster File System, or PMX-CFS. This is a database-driven file system that actually replicates your server configurations in real time across multiple physical machines using a communication protocol called CoralSync. Simply put, this creates a sort of hive mind for Proxmox. UNRAID is designed to make one single physical server as efficient, flexible, and massive as possible. If you want to scale UNRAID, you're buying bigger hard drives for your array. Proxmox, though, is built so you can connect several distinct physical servers together into a multi-master cluster. If one physical Proxmox node literally catches fire, the High Availability Manager can automatically spin up your virtual machines on a surviving node. You can even live migrate a running VM from one piece of hardware to another without dropping a single network ping. It's pretty wild. Finally, Section 5, choosing your ideal OS. So the choice really becomes clear based on your goals. If you fit the profile of the media hoarder, meaning you've got a closet full of mismatched hard drives, you want maximum storage capacity per dollar, and you just want an incredibly easy point-and-click app store experience for your Docker containers, UNRAID is absolutely your undisputed champion. But if you're the enterprise tinkerer, you want to learn industry-standard skills, you demand multi-node high availability, you want to master ZFS or Ceph storage, and you prefer isolated system containers, then Proxmox VE is the undeniable choice. Both of these operating systems are absolute titans in the self-hosting community, and honestly, both will serve you incredibly well for years to come. They just take different paths to get there. So the only question left for this explainer is, look at your hardware, look at your goals, what kind of data center are you going to build today? Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.